Huawei is fighting back. The Chinese tech giant has bought full-page adverts in most of the UK's major newspapers in an attempt to speak to the British public. The company's faced criticism over its involvement in 5G technology in the country, something its vice president here in the UK says doesn't make sense.
Because of some of the confusion that has been put into the press, we feel it's really important that we state our case. And our case is that we're a privately owned company owned by 90,000 of its employees, and we're independent of the Chinese state.
In January, the UK government allowed Huawei to play a limited role in its 5G networks, but labelled it a high-risk vendor. That means it can only take part in non-core infrastructure, which is less sensitive, and have a maximum market share of 35%. Since then, there's been growing pressure from some lawmakers in the UK for that decision to be reversed, a view that's found common cause on the other side of the Atlantic.
Britain can join the United States and other powerful free nations and work together on a 5G solution that doesn't empower Chinese intelligence. I'm greatly encouraged by reports indicating that your government intends to help lead efforts to develop alternatives to Huawei among the world's democracies.
President Trump wants an outright ban on the firm and says the UK's decision could jeopardise intelligence sharing. The US, Australia and New Zealand have already banned Huawei, with other European countries watching developments closely.
The fundamental criticism is that Huawei doesn't have operational independence from the Chinese government in Beijing. How does a successful multinational Chinese company manage to separate itself from the government in Beijing?
About 50% of our revenues come from outside China. And so we abide by the laws and regulations in 170 countries worldwide.
And to clarify the fundamental point again, Huawei doesn't and will not hand over sensitive data to the Chinese government or be used for spying on behalf of the Chinese government.
You know, we've stated that many, many times. Our business would collapse overnight if we were even to contemplate that, which we don't. And we've never been asked to hand over data by the Chinese government.
Boris Johnson and his government face a difficult dilemma. On the one hand, members of his ruling Conservative Party are gathering support with their anti-Huawei message. On the other hand, they face the stark reality that China remains an important trading partner and that Huawei has some of the world's most advanced and cheapest 5G technology. Turning away from that could set back British businesses and consumers.
Analysts say a full ban on Huawei could cost the industry almost $2 billion and set the rollout of 5G back by 2 years. For now, the government is staying tight-lipped on the issue, and Huawei says it's focused on its future work in the UK, despite the growing pressure. Nawid Jabakil, CGTN, London.